Much, Alina. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity to reflect with you all this afternoon. So I will be sharing a few insights of really an amazing journey I've been involved into with the Jacobs Foundation that has basically brought to life what I believe is an inspiring example of collaborative cross-sector effort, and which has been promoted really by a foundation that has walked the talk, to echo, some of the expressions of the keywords that appeared in the beginning in the chart. So this collaborative efforts has materialized in what we called the Child Learning and Education Facility, which is a pooled funding facility bringing together today the largest coalition focused on education on a single country, so which is Côte d'Ivoire. So it involves at this point in time the government of Côte d'Ivoire, 16 cocoa and chocolate companies, and 2 philanthropic foundations, which are Jacobs Foundation and UBS Optimus Foundations. So the partners that are involved in CLE are jointly pursuing the following objectives, which are improving access to quality education in underserved remote rural areas in Côte d'Ivoire, making sure that children complete primary school and are equipped with the expected literacy and numeracy skills. And through this improved access and improved education quality, the partners, they also aim at contributing to the reduction of child labor in cocoa farming. So what has motivated in the first place Jacobs Foundation to initiate CLE and to convince others to join the partnership? So the starting point was really the ambition. If you want to address complex social challenges, and if you really want to achieve impact at scale, you can definitely not do it alone. So that's why it was really a deliberate effort to create a partnership. So when you look at complex social issues, you also know that they are often addressed very inefficiently. What does it mean, this inefficiency in practice? So for instance, the root causes of problems are often not addressed, or efforts that are pursued, they are not aligned with national priority and strategies, and therefore results are not sustainable. Or another issue of inefficiency is the fact that investments are made in solutions that are not relevant, or they're not effective, or maybe they're not scalable. So it's the super pilot projects, but you cannot go to scale. Another issue is that efforts are often fragmented and limited in scale. So we all tend to be caught in a sort of project mentality. And lastly, very often we also see that potential benefits precisely from cooperating across sectors, they're not even explored. So starting from this observation of reality, Jacobs Foundation has promoted a shift in mindset and new ways of working together. And this meant, first of all, tackling the root causes of the problem that we had identified. Secondly, it meant investing in evidence-based solutions, so accepting not to reinvent the wheel every time, but being capable of looking around, what is it that it has worked, that maybe others have promoted, and we can just simply take and adapt to the country so that we don't lose time in reinventing the wheel again. And then lastly, it meant also join forces and adopt a systemic approach. So what do we have learned so far from this experience? That it's still in its beginning, but we already have some few lessons learned. So first of all, as I already said, if you aim at systemic impact, at sustainable change, and also if you want, which is very important, I think that one of the interlocutors, one of the interveners before also mentioned that if you want to aim at national ownership, you really have to involve the government from the outset as an equal partner. In the CLE, in the Child Learning and Education Facility, we are partnering with the government of Côte d'Ivoire as an equal partner, because the government of Côte d'Ivoire is also an investor in this facility. And these change the famous power relationships completely. A second learning is also that you need to rely on a neutral, honest broker that is perceived as legitimate by the stakeholders to facilitate the conversations in the beginning, where you're shaping the partnership, where you decide how do you want this partnership to look like, what are the objectives, etc. So you really need a honest broker. Also to help finding the sweet spot where interest and incentive aligns. The CLE partnership, it's quite unique in bringing together a government, cocoa and chocolate industry, and private foundations. And so these are actors that have very different institutional missions, very different interests. And so it is really important to find this sweet spot, this common denominator where the actors can come together. A third,
Sabina, we need to
yes.
wrap up. Yeah,
Yes.
we need to wrap up, please.
Good.
Final point.
So 3 final lessons learned, so very important. Always putting evidence at the center, not only to be able to invest smartly on what works, but also to create this trust, to build this trust between very different actors. Very important is to co-design governance mechanism that allows for joint decision-making, transparent communication, learning together, but also very important to take stock of the partnership itself, how the partners are feeling. And lastly, I think it's important to say that people need to be ready to engage in the long term, not only because systemic change doesn't happen overnight, but because building this trust and learning how to work together takes time. Over to you. Thank you.